Fire Knights absolutely suck to fight against, for various reasons. But what about playing as a Fire Knight? You see, the 3 spells that were added to this faction are all doing very unique things, not really taking after any other base game spell, and they're all generally very powerful at their own little niche, and that's what we're here to talk about today. While this build has almost no defensive capabilities at all, it is pushing pyromancy damage as high as possible, so we'll be using these 3 spells, as well as some others that are very good too. But before we get started, consider liking and subscribing to help out our friend Gustavo. You see, he has no money, and his wife, Gustava, has a lot of mouths to feed, so a like and subscription might help him accomplish his goal of not being a deadbeat dad. Thank you. Now, before we get truly into the weeds of Fire Knight, Pyromancer, and all that jazz, I do kind of want to make like a little bit of like my opinion on what levels and how. By the way, look at that. Straight over the Blasphemous Blade. Oh my gosh, and it was a triple kill too. That was like the coolest thing of all time. Anyway, I personally think, and if there's any mages out there, let me know if you disagree, but I personally think that the way to get the best returns from a mage build of any kind, any spellcaster, is to either play below meta level or above it. And regardless of how you decide to run your build, make sure that it is skewed towards doing damage. Now, for the first reason, when you're at low level, you have all of these like different ways of getting your stats really high, and those are effective. They're more impactful at a lower level. Hang on, I've got to pause myself one more time. Watch this, okay? I've come across this way too much recently. Notice anything weird here? Anything at all? Yeah, I am coming across a ton of cheaters on PlayStation. It irritates me to no end that there's like actually a very good chance that these days you're just going to come across someone doing something like that on PlayStation. The whole point of consoles when it comes to most games is that there aren't cheaters. So just another thing that makes Elden Ring an amazing game. Anyway, you have all these stat increasing things that are extremely effective at lower levels, like level 80 and below, stuff like that. If you're the host, you have great runes, and then you have all the talismans and physics and whatnot. It makes it pretty easy to get really high faith or intelligence, and the lack of defense you might have, or HP, is more acceptable because people generally don't do that much damage at those lower levels. And when it comes to going a bit higher, because what I'm considering like the not so good range of running a spellcaster is between about level 100 to 150. Once you go past 150, you start getting such easy access to the sort of excess of stats that a spellcaster wants that you don't have to make the sacrifices you do at meta level, as well as meta level or just around meta level tends to be where people have the most well-equipped builds to deal with, whatever your spell's version of bullshit is. Like in this footage, I'm playing at 125. Sometimes I'll play a spellcaster at 150 as well, but these tend to be some of the worst levels, I think, because most people are going to pull out really strong stuff. Most people are on strength builds, which are the best build type at these sort of like level 100 to 150 levels. It's just so stat efficient, and all the best weapons are strength weapons, and a lot of the best weapons in the game that are a complete nightmare for spellcasters are strength. So you're going to have a very difficult time against any person that has like a well put together build, or, a gank squad that's way too dedicated to winning. in those situations, you're going to have a very bad time. And in my opinion, if you try making the build too balanced at these levels, you essentially lose the most important thing about a spellcaster, which, by the way, amazing job by the host right there. They're jumping over the hand railing to fall to his death. That's quite something. I think regardless of what level you're playing a spellcaster, I think the most important thing is damage and being able to cast your stuff. So, like, at meta level, you know, if you're trying to go with damage but then also keep a decent amount of endurance for armor, then you have almost no mind, and you can cast Giant's Flame Take Thee or other similarly costed spells twice before you have to use a blue flask. And it's only once you have like 25-ish FP that you have enough blue juice that a maxed out blue flask is not going to heal it to full. It's somewhere in that range. And so if you're only at like 10 mind or something like that, having to use blue over and over, you're getting really bad returns. And so yes, I am at this level. Yes, this build, if I were to fight an optimized strength build, I would get absolutely flatlined in most scenarios. And once again, because the endurance is so low and the armor has no poise, we don't have a defensive backbone. Really, all I have is a Dryleaf art that has Endure, which is kind of my one defensive sort of barrier to getting absolutely smushed. And yeah, in my opinion, in terms of at least how I like to play mage, that's the sacrifice that I'm willing to make, because I think getting the most bang out of your buck when it comes to your blue, as well as being able to absolutely cook someone as fast as possible and threaten one-shots is the most important thing. And this also kind of ties into the first spell I want to talk about, which is Fire Serpent. Fire Serpent is a very annoying spell for one, but what it succeeds at is frame trapping. Generally, spells that frame trap are more tied to intelligence spellcasters. They have a lot of area denial and frame trapping capabilities, and things that are similar for incantations generally are significantly worse. But this is an example of one that is really, really good. And it allows you to, say, run in and go for, say, a catch flame, or be able to use like a blue juice or something on those lines. Very nice of this guy to let me heal, by the way. He cooked me a second ago, but then Sergeant Shitter saw red, and I didn't return the favor. Kinda not being a good person right there. Might have just exposed myself. Also, real quick, I just wanted to test the damage of Rain of Fire, which will be the last spell that we talk about of the three unique ones. But since it's here in the video, just wanted to point it out real quick. If your opponent is AFK, that is a lot of damage. But we'll talk about it eventually. But yeah, the frame trapping of the Fire Serpent is crucial to a Pyromancer playstyle, even when you're not even really using the other Fire Knight spells. It's just so good. Like, it casts quickly, it doesn't cost much FP. If you're using double Fire Knight seals like I am right now, its damage is pretty darn good. Like, look at that. That's in water against a well-optimized build. And that's pretty nice, you know? Now, right here, another little thing. Everybody has their own free will, okay? I know people are probably not going to be happy at me saying this. I cannot stand when somebody swaps to Clean Rot because they were using some other weapon and they met the slightest bit of adversity, okay? It's very annoying. And I've considered making like a weapon stereotypes video, and the stereotype for Gugs would be that it's actually just a Clean Rot player in disguise, okay? Respectfully, I get very annoyed when people swap to Clean Rot. Anyway, where were we? Yes, so Fire Serpent and Catch Flame are the bread and butter of this playstyle. When you don't manage to land your one-shot, bink, bink, You just got to do that to them real quick, and you win. You know what I'm saying? And then again, that right there is a good example of why I think damage on a spellcaster is so important. Because, you know, if I was running less in Faith, for example, then I wouldn't have been able to get that, which would have been quite bad. Now this right here is a pretty good invasion to talk about the next spell. Mesmer's Orb. It is in fact Mesmer Monday, my dudes, okay? The amount of damage and range on this, watch this. Boom. The amount of damage and range on that explosion when you fully charge it is unreal, okay? Like, you think that Giant's Flame Take Thee does a lot of damage? You think that that one shot is impressive? Well, to be fair, it is. But Mesmer's Orb hits harder, okay? It's insane how hard it hits. And I have one-shot a lot of people throughout this video with Mesmer's Orb. And as you saw in, like, the first little clip, you can also go straight over certain spells and Ashes of War and stuff like that because of how high you sit in the air. Now, granted, you don't have any hyper armor, so you do have to be careful with it. You definitely can get pulled out of the air by some sort of anti-air thingamabobber, right? And that's not good. And you can also get backstabbed from it, if I'm not mistaken. But we're about to have another perfect example. This is maybe, in my opinion, the best ambush spell in the whole game. Watch this. Watch the range and the damage. Nowhere near him. Gone. Nowhere near the other guy, and he's gone too. This is a ridiculous invasion spell, okay? It carried so hard in so many invasions. And watch this one here, okay? There's rain. Fire is severely nerfed in rain. Watch this. The range and the damage. He had 60 vigor in rain and got one shot. Holy shit, okay? Now, I did speed this up because I was playing like an absolute monkey. When it comes to running spell builds, I'm very bad, to be honest. I'm trying to get better at spell builds. I tend to not use my brain very much, and so I was getting fucking beat up by this guy, despite the fact that I really shouldn't have been. But yeah, Mesmer's Orb, thing of beauty, okay? Now, right here, I don't have my buffs, unfortunately, so it doesn't do as much as it should. Also, another reason that I believe in running a very healthy amount of mind is because of Flame Grant Me Strength. It only lasts like 30 seconds, which is really not that long, so you will be recasting it. But it's such a huge damage bonus. And so, like, the playstyle that we're kind of going for is getting off the Flame Grant Me Strength and trying to make a one-shot happen within that moment. I think I didn't charge it. I think that's why I didn't kill him right there. Watch this. Also, another spell. It's not a Fire Knight spell, but this is one that people sleep on way too much. Flame of the Fell God. This is actually a really good spell. It's almost like a big version of Fire Serpent. It's super slow. Most people think it sucks because of how slow it is, but there's two tricks to it. One, while it's in the air, you can do anything. Charge up a Giant's Flame Take Thee. Charge up a Mesmer's Orb. Like, literally anything. Use a blue flask if you need to. It allows for quite literally anything else to happen, right? And so you'll see me do that from time to time. And the other thing as well is that the super Gucci tech of Flame of the Gefell God is making it blow up on walls instantly upon casting it. And I have to stop myself again. This literally happened as of me getting this footage, like 2 days after G9 posted a video of this exact gank, pretty much. Putting items in front of the only lever out. This is like the most bitch-made thing you can possibly do in this whole game. And watch this. I got him? No. Mr. Fat Ass over here minces me like ground beef. Yeah, bro, I'm gonna keep it a buck 50 with you. I thought that the people who played this game couldn't get any worse as of like a year ago, and I am consistently proven wrong. I don't know what to say. Now, this right here is an interesting invasion because when it comes to catacomb fights, I consider that to be actually one of the best places to use a pyromancy build, but this is probably the worst room we could have gotten. Right here, I was testing to see if it'd go through the wall, and it did. That's really cool. But there's water all over the place, and there's 3 people down here. Well, 2 currently, but there will be 3. And there is water all over the place. And this is where it would probably be a pretty good idea to talk about the biggest problem with a pyromancer, in terms of, within its own playstyle, what it's trying to do. Water. Water is everywhere, and it makes your damage a lot worse. It makes it makes people take like 20% less fire damage. And I know 20 doesn't sound like a big number, but when that's the difference between one-shotting and winning an invasion, or not one-shotting and immediately losing thereafter, it's a really big deal. So after having done this play session, I really do recommend running the Sword of Light and a Sacred Blade weapon. Okay, so like Sacred Blade's Shamshir or something like that. And that's just so you have a way of doing good damage when you are in a Rain situation or a Liurnia situation where it just guts your pyromancy damage. So that's kind of like the built-in caveat to a pyromancer, because I think when it comes to the feasibility of landing your really powerful stuff, I think pyromancy has the easiest time landing its big hits compared to other sub-archetypes. No damage backstab right there. Love it. Love it so much. Yeah, and so definitely make sure to bring something holy infused. They use the same stat. Obviously, it's not going to do as much damage because your physic is not going to be holy, but I still really do recommend it. I think it's a good idea. And also, there's a couple weapons that I decided to run. I have this like personal problem where, like, when I make a spellcaster of any type and I run too many weapons, I just forget to use my spells. Like, I am kind of like a boomer in this way. Like, I've been running melee only for these games for a very long time, and making making any type of spellcasting builds takes a lot of energy on my part, because it is like an alien play style to me. But there's a couple that I brought. I brought the Fire Knight short sword, which, despite its name, is a dagger, and it is ridiculous if you run it with one of the Ashes of War that fire buffs it. I'm running a Flame Skewer S-Stock. The Flame Skewer roll catches after some of your moves, and it also buffs it as well. Quite good for when you have to pull out a super duper strong weapon against somebody. I'm running Black Flame Tornado on Banish Knight Halberds. Obviously, that's going to be our get off me tool. Like, on a build with a lot of faith, Black Flame Tornado is threatening a one-shot on anybody that cannot roll that second hit. And then the last thing I'm running is a Flaming Strike Scythe. It's the closest thing we have to a hyper armor weapon, and it only requires 14 strength and 14 dex. So, Jesus Christ, that fucking damage, bro. So yeah, if you're running a build with super low strength and dexterity, the sort of like option that you have for like a little bit of hyper armor or something that resembles it, because scythes don't have hyper armor, they just ignore certain levels of stagger. The basic scythe takes very little stat investment, so that is a very good option. Right here is Elden Ring being Elden Ring. Let's see how many bloody fingers it takes to get up to where the host is. Let's see. Oh, right. It took all 3 of them to not get it. I don't understand why this is not an infinite use item. Like, you know, it has a chance of putting you where you want to be, but it's like, it's going to put you in the same place 3 times. Like, let it just be infinite use. Here's what I thought to be AFK farmers in this rock. Look at this. Can you fathom how far away this spawn point actually is? Like, that's at least like 20 minutes of running right there. That is insane. I have never seen that before. And here's a little bit of a race against the clock right here. I've always passed this on a horse, and I've always passed this on handy dandy Trent, and we're about to get blown to smithereens. Can we make it? We can, but the host cannot. GG's bestie. Now, I guess I should quit yapping for a second to talk about Rain of Fire. Rain of Fire is bad like 95% of the time, but the 5% of the time it's good, it's really good. So, Rain of Fire is not good in the open world. There's no walls and hallways to limit people's movement. And it's also not it's not great against people that are actually like doing their job, you know, and moving around. Jeez Louise, that damage. But what it is fantastic for is dealing with people that refuse to move, okay? Sometimes you'll get invasions in like a catacomb or a legacy dungeon where the people are just they have their dick between their legs and they are just quaking in their Yeezys in like the bonfire room or something similar, and that is when Rain of Fire shines. It can do ridiculous amount of damage if people refuse to move their ass. So oftentimes it's not really about the damage that you're trying to do with it, it's more so getting someone to get out of their comfy place. And if they refuse to do that, then it will do a lot of damage, right? And it also pairs really nicely with other pyromancies because, you know, you have all this, you know, fiery rain and stuff happening on your screen. It's, you know, kind of an overload to the senses. And it's very helpful for being able to land other spells like Fire Serpent or, you know, Catch Flame, any of the big ones. It just makes it a little bit harder to focus. And so it's not the most, like... I mean, you can drop it if you want to, but unfortunately I like it a lot. I've been playing through as a Pyromancy character on PC, and I've been playing with Rain of Fire, and I've been using it in like every situation I can because I just find it so fun. There's something about making it literally rain fire that is like it's like a dopamine hit to me. You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, I would personally carry it if I were to make this build again. I did give up on things such as like Burno Flame and, you know, the Chaos Firestorm looking one for Rain of Fire. Those obviously have their time and place, but I really like this spell, my dudes. Unfortunately, I couldn't make the best use of this right here. This was a horrendously stupid decision on my part. Like I said, there's just something about being a mage that makes me play like a complete dumbass. So hopefully I start getting better at this playstyle. I plan on the next number of videos I make covering something similar to this, to be different spell casting schools and stuff like that. I'm gonna do a video about lightning casting, being a mage. Look at this, look at this. Bink! That right there is why you run Flame of the Fell God. He had no clue what was about to hit him. And that right there just put us back in. I forgot to say it earlier, this is the hardest fought victory of the video. This one was so tough. This was one of the first ones I did, and I was just making really bad decisions. And you know what? We were able to bring ourselves back in with that little play right there. And there we go with that roll catch. Have a good day, you guys. I hope you guys enjoy the build.